Evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is our regular broadcasting from the Move to Prague office. And today we are broadcasting the Immigration Q&As. So thank you very much for watching the live stream or for watching the recording. Guys, this is an open Q&A live stream. So if you have any questions regarding Czech immigration, anything really, visas, residence permits, permanent residence permit, citizenship, starting a business in the Czech Republic, getting a trade license, getting health insurance, finding a place to live in the Czech Republic. This is 25 minutes for you when you can ask these questions and I'll answer them to the best of my knowledge and experience and will give you the best advice I can at this point. At this point being 8:30 at night in Prague. On Thursday. Anyway, usually this takes a couple minutes before people start joining. So I'll be probably just talking nonsense until then, or will dance for you or sing or combine those. But once some people actually join, please start writing your questions into the chat and I'll be answering them right away. Abdel Karim Mirach, hello. Hi Abdel Karim, thank you very much for joining. If you have any question, now is the time to ask. Of course, you can just enjoy my face, looking at my face and my neck and the flower behind me. Potentially even the view, maybe. There is the castle somewhere there. I don't know if you can see it. Study here. There's the castle. Anyway, yes, first question, sounds of nature. Hello Jan, if someone student has visa on passport but have a residence card, can he apply for work permit or residence card is mandatory to change status? Visa on passport not have. Okay, so if you have a visa, if you have a student visa and not a student residence permit, yes, the employee card is one of the, like, work permit. Again, guys, work permit doesn't mean anything in Czech immigration. So I know, of course, it's especially in Indian community, it's very common to say work permit, but it can mean like totally different things. For some people, work permit is the trade license. For some people, work permit is permission to work from the labor office. For some people, the work permit is an employment contract. For some people, the work permit is an employee card. So work permit doesn't mean anything. But if you, like from how you wrote the question, yes, if you find a job and employer which is willing to support you in the process, you can switch from a student visa to an employee card and you can change basically you're not changing the purpose of your stay. You are, but whatever. You can switch even from a visa to an employee card. That's an exception that switching to an employee card is basically possible from almost every type of long-term visa, long-term residence permit you have. Engineer Liban, hello, my study visa application has been approved before 20 days ago on the website, but I did not get any contact from the embassy. What is the problem? What can I do? The only thing you can do is wait. Maybe check your spam, because often the email from the embassy goes to the spam, or contact them, but I would only recommend contacting them if it's another 2 weeks maybe and you don't hear from them, because you're not the only person who got approved. You're not the only thing that the embassy has to do. So and also the embassy waits for the ministry to let them know that they should contact you. And all these things can add. And sometimes it means that from the moment when you see the approved status online, it can take a couple weeks before the embassy contacts you. And it's not necessarily a problem of the embassy, because the embassy does not approve your application. They only do whatever the Ministry of the Interior tells them to do and whenever they tells them to do. So how it works is that when there is a decision maker, there is a person who is dealing with your case at the Ministry of the Interior. So when they make the decision, they check the box like approved in the system. So then you can see it online. But then they also need to write like a letter for the embassy and then also for the ministry if you applied for a residence permit, so for the fingerprinting and all that, explaining the reasons why they approved you and what they want from the next person to do. So like message for the embassy is please contact the client and ask them to bring health insurance valid until this time, because this is until when the visa was approved. For the Ministry of the Interior, please request a physical copy of the passport because we've never seen it, make a copy, blah, blah, blah. So they need to write a letter and then they send it to the embassy, and then the embassy needs to find time to send the information to you. So there can be delays. Sometimes it can be pretty fast, sometimes it can take a long time. So I would give them a few more days, maybe up to 2 weeks, and then if nothing happens, then contact them, see. But if they haven't received an information from the Ministry of the Interior what they should do, they will tell you, hey, you need to wait anyway. So yeah, give them a couple more days and see what happens. Engineer Liban, my enrollment date is 10th of September. Yeah, well, doesn't really change anything. They don't care much. Moxin Sony. Hello, me and my friend applied for same visa, volunteer visa, in the same day, and the organization sent us the same documents, all similar, but he got visa approved today. I'm still waiting. Yeah, that's completely normal. Because these questions are based on you not knowing how it works. So here comes my experience and my knowledge of the processes. But if you understand the basics, you will be able to answer similar questions in the future yourself. The thing is that you're not the only person or not only two people who applied for a visa on that day. Czech Republic has, I don't know how many embassies all over the world, tens of embassies. And every day people are applying there for different types of visas. So let's say every day through embassies, there are 500 applications submitted. I don't know. Then also people inside of the Czech Republic may submit their applications like extensions or changes of purposes, all that. So let's say every day 1,000 people apply for something. And all these 1,000 cases will not be decided, or the decision will not be made by one person or two people or five people. There are whole like teams of people making decisions about visa applications, residence permit applications. And the fact that you applied at the same embassy does not mean, or for the same type of visa, does not mean that the same person will be making the decision about your cases. So your friend's case might be decided by one decision maker. Your case will be decided by someone else. Maybe that someone else is on holidays, or they just have a different approach. Or even if it was done by the same person, there are some processes they need to follow. So they first need to approve one of you. They cannot approve two people at the same time. They first need to approve someone, and then they go to the other application, they approve that application, and they need to take some steps, and then they approve third application. So that's completely normal. People who apply at the same time, at the same embassy, same type of visa can get results in completely different times. That can be like even weeks apart. So don't worry at this point. Nothing unusual. Abdelkarim Mariach, thank you so much, sir. I have an interview appointment for a long-term residence permit for studies next Tuesday, and my nostrification documents are now in the university, but they didn't apply for it, and they are waiting for the translation of my documents to the Czech language. Well, you don't need nostrification to submit your application, but the Ministry of the Interior can request it later on in the process, or they can contact your school regarding that. So I don't think it will create any trouble for you at this point at the embassy, but it could potentially create a trouble down the road. But until then, maybe it will be sorted out already. Mehmet Sirin Balkan. Hi Jan. Hi Mehmet. Can you talk about A1 certification? What do you mean A1 certification? That doesn't exist anymore. For the permanent residence permit, you need A2. Did you mean that? Or you mean something else which I don't get? Let me know. What was there? Abu Bakar Badru, hi, can 55 years old get work permit for Czech Republic? Well, it depends. Again, what you mean by work permit, that's one thing. Because as I mentioned before, work permit doesn't mean anything in the Czech immigration law. So work permit, if you say, can you get a work permit? I would say, don't know, because I don't know what you mean. But if you mean like that you can move to the Czech Republic to work, kind of depends on what country you're from, not that much on your age. Of course, that plays some role as well, but it's more about your education, your experience, all that. But the most important part is where are you from? Because let's say if you're, for example, or if you're from any country where there are quotas on how many people can yearly apply for an employee card, then most likely you will never get here, even if you get a job offer, even if you have all the documents ready, because you will simply not be able to submit your application because there are no available appointments. So it's more about this than about your age, so about your nationality and about the situation at the Czech embassy in the country of your origin. And the nostrification was the reason why my visa got refused last year, because the university didn't apply for my nostrification last year. Then they have been contacted by, yeah, okay, so that's what I said. So you experienced that already, that the ministry can request it during the process. So yeah, of course, and if it was the problem last time, ideally you should have fixed that until now, because if you applied last year, that's probably like a year ago, so you had a year to fix it. If it's still not fixed, of course, that can cause a trouble, but we'll see, because you still have, before the file gets even to someone at the ministry, that will be probably a month from now. So let's say you have a month and a half to try to fix it. Duria Mangat, how much time required for approval of long-term visa? Depends on the type of the long-term visa. Digital nomad, officially 45 days, family reunification 60 to 90 days, student 60 days, business 90 to 120 days. So it depends on the type of the visa. Not that it really matters. The ministry does not care much about the official timelines. They generally try to stick to it, but if they don't stick to it, they cannot stick to it for like 1 day, 1 week, or like 7 months. If they're already past the deadline, it can take however long they want. But yeah, let's say generally from 45 days to 120 days, depending on the visa type. Alan Macklin, do companies generally support non-EU employees in terms of posting the job in the labor office to get the vacancy number? I mean, do they do it for very critical job roles or even general? Well, it depends on how desperately they need someone and what you're bringing on the table or to the table. It's not much of an issue. Like they need to know how to do it. That's important, because the job advertisement is actually one of the most important steps of the whole process of applying for an employee card or a blue card, because it can either help your process or it can mess it up completely. So they first should know what they're doing. So for some companies, this might be a bit discouraging if they are not sure what to do, if they've never done it before, because that's kind of complex. If you're an employer, let's say a smaller employer, or you've never dealt with foreigners, if you try to read about it, if you try to understand it, it can be pretty daunting and pretty difficult to understand. So that might be a barrier for some companies. But generally, if you've done it before, if you know how to do it, or if you have a company like us, for example, to deal with that on your behalf, then it's generally a relatively straightforward process. So that's not much of an issue, I would say. So I would say it has more to do with the general policy of the employer, of the company, if they are hiring foreigners in general or not. Because often it's in the company's policy, okay, we only hire people who can work legally in the Czech Republic. So like family members living here or people generally with free access to the labor market, stuff like that. So they don't have to deal with the immigration agenda. There are some companies that have their own teams to deal with that. They have their immigration departments. Some companies have a provider that can do that for them, like we, for example, do for tens of companies. So depends on the company. I would say more, so maybe it's getting down to two things. First, what's their policy about hiring foreigners and how experienced they are? Second thing is if they're hiring people or if they're willing to give employment contracts in general. Because still employing people in the Czech Republic is pretty expensive. So many companies try to avoid that by hiring freelancers or going different routes. So yes, not sure if this helped. Hopefully, let me know if you need any more information. Yuri Truci, ahoj Jan, ahoj Yuri. We applied with relationship visa. We have been on a distance relationship for 3 years and now I came to her family. We provided photos of us with her family plus online talks. Do the MOI accept that kind of relationship? I'm Brazilian, she's Czech. Well, kind of depends. Generally speaking, you don't need to be married, but you need to be in a serious long-term relationship similar to a marriage. Long distance relationship is not really a committed relationship. You can feel it differently, but the thing is you probably don't live together, you don't really share money together. I guess you don't have a joint bank account, you haven't bought a property together, you don't have a cat together or a dog. So it's not really committed relationship that you're texting someone on WhatsApp or Facebook chat. Good, nice, but that's not really a proof of a committed relationship. So generally, long distance relationships are not something we would recommend trying to apply with. On the other hand, if it's been 3 years of distant relationship, but you prepare the documents in a specific way, you submit some specific documents. Ideally, if you have visited each other at least a couple times, like most of the relationship is distant, but you traveled together a bit, or you came here once and they came there, something like that. If you've never lived together, but you visited, that's always better. And then it's about how you write the statement, because one of the documents you're submitting is the statement of your relationship. So it depends also how you write it there. If you write it in the way, we've never seen each other live, it's just now is the first time, probably that will not be really good for the application. But if you write it in the way, yeah, we've known each other for 3 years, now I decided to move here, to live together, that sounds better, because you kind of leave out the part that you were not really, you really didn't know or didn't see each other until now. So kind of depends. 3 years is better than half a year or a year for sure. But then it depends on what documents you submitted, what exactly you wrote in the statement, what your families maybe wrote in the statement, your friends, what other documents you can submit, if you transfer money to each other, if you travel together, if you have something together or not. So yeah, it's not possible to say generally. Generally is what I explained now, but then it depends on the exact application. Abdulkar Merak and the university told me that I don't have the Nostrification. They refused me to register me in the 23-24 academic year. Well, this is this is getting complicated, I think, to answer or even understand on a live stream. So if you wish, get in touch and we can arrange a consultation and we can go through everything in details, because that's kind of, if you whatever, that's it. That's, I think everything I mentioned before stays. And yeah, if there are more circumstances, let's say, maybe it would be better to discuss it in person in details. Mehmet, I mean A1 certification for business travel, where to issue it and how long can duration of certification be? I honestly have no idea what you're referring to. A1 certification for business travel, I actually don't have any idea. It doesn't ring a bell in the Czech immigration. Engineer Liban, if my diplomas are in the nostrification process and the date of traveling to Czech, would immigration officers in the airport ask me for the diplomas? Immigration at airports do not usually want to see anything. We've now had kind of an interesting situation with a business visa holder from the Philippines who were asked so many stupid documents by the immigration, but that wasn't a Czech immigration. That was a Filipino immigration not letting her leave her own country. So they wanted to see like million documents, and that was very stressful for them. But generally, once your visa is approved, the border immigration does not really need to see anything generally. Yuri, do the MOI accept that kind of relationship? Okay, that's what I answered. Fajinmi Temitop. I'm sorry I'm mispronouncing all your names. Yeah. Hi, I love your videos. Thank you very much. I applied for Czech student visa and passport still with Czech embassy, but also applied for Canada conference visa, and Canada has requested I submit passport. What do I do now? That's kind of weird because usually the embassy does not keep your passport. That happens sometimes in the US, for example, because they don't want you. They don't want to see you in person for some reason. They just ask you to mail everything to them. They don't want to speak with people, I guess. So in that case, you have to mail the passport to the embassy, and then you wait for them to mail the passport back. So that can take a couple weeks. But generally, when you go and submit your application in person, then they should just make a copy and return the passport back to you. So if the passport is still with the embassy for whatever reason, then just speak with the embassy and say, hey, I need the passport back because I want to travel or something. Not sure if I would tell them that you need it for a visa in another country. Maybe it's fine. I would need to think about it a bit more, but maybe don't mention that. But if you tell them, hey, I need the passport back for whatever reason, what should I do? They will hopefully find some solution for you if they get back to you, because some embassies are difficult to reach. RJ, hi, is it easier, cheaper to find housing, commuter villages like Rostocky versus living in Prague? Honestly, I don't think it makes really much sense because the prices in these neighboring cities or villages are not really that lower. Might be in some cases, but then you need to keep in mind you will need to pay for the public transport. You will need to pay some like monthly pass, not only within Prague, but also like the commute every day, plus the time you spend traveling. If it's worth it, you know, if you save like 10,000 crowns a month for the same level of housing, which is very unlikely, but let's say you do that, okay, probably makes sense and justifies the traveling and everything. If you save 3,000 crowns, it's probably, in my opinion, not worth the hassle, because you will spend another 1,000 for the commuting every month, and plus the time you spend just like in trains or wherever. So yeah, you can have a look and see what the prices are, but I would not say that's too much of a difference. Might be in some categories though. Yeah. Ravi Barod G, sir, I have received my construction work permit. Will I get visa? The appointment person said that I will arrange an appointment for you from here, from Czech Republic. Well, that already sounds like a scam, kinda, but maybe not. Like if they said they will do it and you believe they will do it, good. Maybe the employer is registered in some of the programs for employers, so they might actually do it, but depends on what country you're from. Yeah, so it depends. It's hard to say because I don't know where you're from, and there are different rules for different nationalities, and I also don't know what's the company. And if they are registered in some of the programs, you might actually get an appointment. When? No one knows, but you might. If they're not registered in one of the programs, you might never get an appointment. So yeah, that's probably everything I can say now. Ellen McLean, actually I'm living in France for 2 years and would like to work in Czech Republic. and what is the wait time to get an appointment in Dresden embassy, and are there any quotas? Let me see what was the first part of the question. Companies generally support. Well, I believe, honestly, you sound, your name sounds like British or American. So if you are one of these nationalities or 7 other in a similar basket, then you actually got free access to the Czech labor market since July 1st this year. So companies do not even need to do the job advertisement when they're hiring you. Of course, if you're from some other countries, then they still need to do it. But if you're from these 9 countries, we wrote a blog about it. So if you just go to movetoprague.com and you go to the blog section, it's one of the latest blogs there. Or if you check my videos, I made a video about that as well. From July 1st, there was this change in the labor code. So that should make the process a bit easier as well. Waiting time in Dresden, generally that's not too much. Now we're getting to the highest season, so I would expect 2 to 4 weeks maximum. In lower seasons can be 1 to 2 weeks. So Dresden is pretty fine, no quotas there. Yuri Truci, děkuju, hope I wrote it right. Not exactly, but close enough. There is you at the end, děkuju, or I, děkuji, děkujo. Is not correct, but I understood, so close enough. Can I submit more documents to the MOI during the process? Yuri Truci, that was the partnership visa? Okay, yeah. You can. You don't have to unless they tell you to do so. The best is to submit the application as strong as possible. So we always prefer that because we sometimes have clients who say, hey, I would like to submit the application as soon as possible. Either it has a reason, like they want to start a job as soon as possible, which is possible once you submit the application, you can work in the Czech Republic, or they have some other reason, or sometimes they don't have a reason at all. They just want to do it as soon as possible. But we often tell them, hey guys, it's better to wait like a week more or 2 weeks more and have the application like 100% solid than to rush it and have it like 60% solid. So it depends on how much documentation you gave them the first time when you were submitting the application. From then, I would probably wait for what they say about it, because sometimes they can approve it, then they don't ask even any questions, depends on the decision maker. Sometimes they would send you a letter that you actually didn't submit any proof of your relationship and they want more. Sometimes they would invite you for an interview where they would question you about the relationship. So if you've submitted the application already, I would probably wait for them to get back to you. Hudhaifa Alamat. I have moved to another EU country and my Czech biometric card still valid till the end of this month. What should I do by card, delivering it back to, or other options? Yeah, you should always return it when it expires. You should send it back to the Ministry of the Interior because it's a property of the Czech Republic. So you should send it back or you can get fined. Also, if you, for example, lost it or someone stole it and then they used it for some illegal activities or whatever, that could be your problem as well because it's your card. So it's definitely best to send it back to the ministry. Ellen McLean, in the past I had applied for a Czech university, got accepted and completed the nostrification. However, can the same document be used for an employee card visa or should I do it again? Well, for the employee card now, you don't really, if you're from the US, was it there anywhere or I'm just making it up? Well, generally for employee card or blue card, you don't need a nostrification. You just need the document proving the level of your education. So you need the actual diploma. The diploma needs to be apostilled or superlegalized, translated into Czech, all that. But you don't need the nostrification. So yeah, you will be just using the diploma with a new translation probably if you don't have it translated from the previous time. But the nostrification should not be needed. And if you're from the US or Canada or what else, like the 7 more nationalities, then you don't need a diploma at all because you have free access to the labor market now. Ravi Barot, I'm from India. Yeah, then most likely you got scammed. Yeah, because in India there are quotas. If your employer is not part of the governmental program, then you cannot get an appointment at all. If they are, in which case they would get you an appointment, then you will most likely need to wait for several months. The last time I checked, the waiting time in India was like 14, 17 months, something like that. So even if they include you now into the program, you will probably get the appointment somewhere like 1 year from now or 1.5 years from now, whatever. So yeah, I don't want to say they're scammers. I don't know, maybe because it seems like they will be getting the appointment, so it's likely that they are part of the governmental program. But even if they are, it might take a long time for you to get an appointment and get here actually. Joy Kamau, I'm Joy from Kenya, a caregiver. Please help me. How can I come? Or website where I can find job, please? Well, the first thing would be check in what are the quotas at the Czech Embassy in Kenya. Because if the quota is 0, then it makes no sense to look for a job. And if you want to look for a job, just go to my channel, to the live stream sections and search for best places to look for a job or best places to find a job or find a job in the Czech Republic, something like that. Play with the words. And I've done a couple of videos about finding a job in the Czech Republic. But again, if you're from some Asian countries or most Asian countries or most African countries, then the chances that you will ever get an appointment and an employee card or employment type of residence permit are very low due to the quotas. So I would first double check that with the embassy, how many people a year can apply before even looking for a job or paying someone even to get you an employment contract, for example. Rohit Bisht, do you provide services related to the updation of personal information? Of course, if you need to, or you have to report all the changes to the ministry, like change of address, change of passport, change of surname, marital status, and we help with that as well. Durian Mangat, I have applied for the long-term study visa. My interview was conducted on 1st of August and had my classes from 15, 16, I cannot see, I have a crack on my screen, September, so kindly let me know how much time is required for the visa in detail, please. Officially, the ministry has 60 days from when you applied. So if you applied 1st of August, they have until 1st of September, 1st of October. So they have until 1st of October to make the decision. For student visas, sometimes the decision comes fast, like 45 days, 30 days. Sometimes it can take like 6 months. Depends on how well the application was prepared. Depends on how well you passed the interview. So I cannot tell you exactly how long it will take, but officially by the law, the ministry has 60 days. So from 1st of August till 1st of October. Yuri Trutsi, so I cannot work during the process. Your videos are really helpful. I will follow you on social media. Thank you so much. Yeah, as soon as you submit the partnership visa application, if they give you a bridging visa, which kind of says that you gave them enough documents, at least in the beginning, about the relationship, then if you get a bridging visa, you can stay here past the 90 days. If you have you're from Brazil, so you have the 90 days, and you can even start working right away. So yeah, and of course, follow me everywhere. I'm everywhere. It's annoying. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok, I'm everywhere. Isaac Yusuf or Isaac Yusuf, Hayan for family reunification visa. When my spouse arrives, how long do we have to wait to apply for a residence permit card? There are 2 conditions. First is the earliest is 90 days before her visa expiration. Second thing is you need to meet some conditions. So it depends on how long you have been here. If you have blue card, the amount of months you need to be here is 0. If you have an employee card, you need to be here for 6 months for your spouse to apply for the residence permit. And if you've been here under some other type of visa, like a student visa or business visa, for example, then your spouse needs to wait for 15 months. But it depends, and these 2 conditions must be met together. So you have been here for long enough, and your spouse's visa expires in less than 3 months. Zobir Loman, best website to apply for a job for foreigners from Morocco. Again, as I explained a couple minutes ago, makes no sense to apply for a job unless you know you can actually apply for a visa or residence permit. So first check with the embassy how many spots are available for employee card holders without their employers being part of some governmental program, and you will see. If they tell you 0 or 10, probably don't even try. Makes no sense. It will take you 7 years to get here. If they tell you, yeah, we have plenty of available spots, you can come anytime, okay, maybe start looking for a job. And again, go to my channel here, look for jobs in the Czech Republic or something, and I've done a couple of videos about that. There are still so many questions, and it's been 35 minutes. So guys, the last question here is Philip Peters. So that will be the last question I'll answer. Okay, Philip, stick with me. I'll first answer the questions before you, and then you will be the last one. So Aris Consultancy Services, that's a nice promo here. Here we have a seasonal work permit of Czech Republic and apply to get an appointment through sending an email. Since 3 months we have not received a reply, but fortunately today we have received a reply. That's 7 days of outcome. Could you please tell me what does it mean? Actually, yes, my name does rather sound British. Okay, that's another, that's the same color and same letter, but okay. Well, if you have a seasonal type of employment, then you generally don't apply through the embassy, you apply through VFS in most countries. So maybe you have applied for through some platform which you're not even supposed to apply through. If you applied correctly and they told you that they will let you know in 7 days, then usually they let you know in 7 days if you got an appointment and when, or that you didn't get an appointment. Ellen Macklin, actually yes, my name does rather sound British or American, but I'm originally from India. Okay, we've had that before. We have a client called Steve Paul, and he's also Indian. So I was very confused when he showed up here the first time. So should the company be part of the migration program for the Dresden embassy as well? Okay, so if you're Indian, you can only apply in India or in the country where you have been for more than 2 years residing legally. So I don't remember exactly what you wrote, how long you've been here, but if you haven't been in some country for longer than 2 years in the EU, then you cannot apply in Dresden. If you've been here for more than 2 years, then you can apply in Dresden and there are no quotas. So that would actually work out well for you. Hudhaifa Alhamad, sorry. Does free access to Czech labor market based on my Czech diploma get retired after 1 year of moving to another EU country? I was living in Prague for studying, working 7 years and speaking Czech fluent. Now it doesn't expire. The only thing that can change that is if the Ministry of the Interior changes the rules or the labor office or the labor code is changed. So until then, you should be fine. It doesn't expire just because you leave the Czech Republic. Potentially, if the program lost accreditation, maybe that could happen. Not sure about that one, but generally it doesn't expire. Amrut Richardson, hi. Are you live in Ostrava? Why? Why would someone live in Ostrava? Tell me. That's probably not visible now. This is our office, all that. But if it was still light outside, you would see the Prague castle from this window. So no, I don't live in Ostrava. Nav Human Vlogs. Hello, I'm Navijot Singh. I'm in Czech Republic on work permit. Now I want to change work to study. Is it possible? If by work permit you mean an employee card, then yes, you can switch to a student residence permit. But keep in mind, you can only do it if your program is accredited, because if the program was not accredited, you would be applying not for a student residence permit, but for the other purpose of stay, and that's not possible. So yeah. And if you need any help with that, let me know. We'll be happy to help. So Philip Peters, that's the last question I will answer. Sorry guys, I announced that before because I promised 25 minutes, it's been 40 minutes. I want to go home and sleep, honestly. So Philip Peters, can someone apply for family reunion if they are in unregistered union? Well, two things here. I actually had a consultation where we partially touched the topic earlier today. If you're a gay couple, I know this might not be your case, but generally for people watching to understand a bit more, and you maybe as well to understand the whole situation. If you are a gay couple, you can either be married, because that's possible in some countries. So if you have a marriage certificate as a gay couple, that's completely fine for the family reunification. Or you can be in a registered partnership, which is also fine because that's what the Czech Republic recognizes or what you can do here. So that's also fine if you're a gay couple. If you're a straight couple, then if you want to apply for a family reunification, you officially should have the marriage certificate. So you should be married. If you are not married, but you have some kind of union or you have a confirmation, it's called different names in different countries, but if you have like an official confirmation that you live in the same household, all that, you can still try applying, but most likely your visa will not be qualified as a family reunification, but as the other purpose of stay. And you will need to prove your relationship. You will need to prove that you really have been living together. You've been in a serious commitment. Maybe you own a property together. You have a bank account, joint bank account. All that you will need to prove that you are really in a long-term serious relationship. But then if you get the other purpose of stay, it might have some disadvantages for you. For example, you might not be able to get free access to the labor market. So if you could get married, that would definitely make it easier for the family reunification. If you don't want to do that, you cannot do it, whatever, then you can still try, but most likely you would be applying for the other purpose of stay and not for family reunification. So that's it. I see, guys, that there are more questions, but as I announced in advance, Philip Peters was the last one because otherwise I would be here until the morning. And yeah, so thank you very much, guys, for joining. Hopefully this live stream was useful and I answered the questions well enough for you to understand and benefit from it. And I will see you again Monday, Thursday, until the end of the world. Good night.